I call the regular meeting of the Lakewood City Council of July 22nd, 2013 to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Murphy?
Here.
Kellen? Wickman? Here. Quinn?
Here.
King? Here. Wilson? Here. Barraway?
Here.
Johnson? Paul? Coop?
Here.
Roybal?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. As always, I'd like to thank everyone for choosing to take part in their local city government. I know many of you are probably tuning in this evening to hear the news of the naming of the new royal baby who was born today. Unfortunately, we do not have that scoop for you. But that was obviously an announcement that's been covered pretty well on worldwide TV today. Congratulations to the prince and princess. Again, in all seriousness, thank you for choosing to join us this evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Will the clerk please read item 4 into the record?
Item 4, Proclamation, National Day of the Cowboy.
It's our pleasure to do this every year at the request of the Westernaires and, of course, our former colleague Debbie Coop. And Debbie will also introduce Patty. Patty, your father, Glenn, is an institution in this county, so in a good way. So thank you very much. With that, I will have Council President Barraway read the proclamation.
Proclamation declaring July 27, 2013 as National Day of the Cowboy in Lakewood. Whereas pioneering men and women known as cowboys help establish America's frontiers, and whereas the cowboy embodies honesty, integrity, courage, compassion, respect, a strong work ethic, courage, and common sense. And whereas the cowboy archetype transcends gender, generations, ethnicity, geographic boundaries, and political affiliation, and whereas Governor John Hickenlooper has proclaimed National Cowboy Day in Colorado, and the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution to encourage recognition of the National Day of the Cowboy to honor both this icon's heritage and continuing contribution. And whereas the Westernaires originated in Lakewood and since 1949 has provided training to youth in Western riding, precision drills, and horse care while requiring youth to perform well in school and to develop self-discipline and a sense of responsibility. And whereas the Westernaires help keep the cowboy culture alive. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of Lakewood, I, Bob Murphy, Mayor of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby declare July 27, 2013 as National Day of the Cowboy in the City of Lakewood, given under my hand and seal of the City of Lakewood this 22nd day of July 2013 AD. Bob Murphy, Mayor.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to take a minute to thank the Lakewood City Council. This is their third year of support. We are 6 years into this show, providing a free show for the daycares of Lakewood and Jefferson County. And so it's a chance for our kids to give back to younger kids. And so we do appreciate your support. Thank you.
And Patty didn't mention it, but our show, the Western Heritage Show, is coming up this Wednesday. We have free shows at 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., and it's going to be in the big rodeo arena out at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds. So if you're looking for something to do in this hot summer heat and you want some wild action, come on out and see some clowns and trick riders and drill teams riding, and it's a lot of fun. So we want to invite everybody out there. Even if you have a daycare or something, bring them out, okay? Also, I want to thank the City of Lakewood for always being a very friendly place for horseback riders. I would say that this is truly a horse city. We really appreciate all the wonderful, beautiful parks we have here and all the wonderful riding trails. My daughter takes advantage of them all the time, and I get to go with her. The other thing is I'm the new curator for the Westernaires Lakewood Western Heritage Museum, and I'd like to invite all of you to come out and visit it sometime. Maybe you could have a study session up at the Western Airs Fort, and we could show you around. And we have a wonderful, extensive collection of Western Heritage books. We have movies. There's cavalry uniforms and the history about that. We have American Indian costumes and clothing and jewelry. And our biggest attraction we have out there is Lincoln's carriage that he rode in. The Calaba family that live in Golden, they used to live in Illinois, and when he was elected to be President of the United States, they drove him over to the train station in this black carriage that we have. And then he was on his way to Washington, D.C., and later they moved to Golden, Colorado, and Buffalo Bill Cody got word of this, and it traveled around in his shows with him, and then the family later donated it to the Western Airs, which was very nice. So we invite everybody to come on out to our museum. I'm there every Saturday from 10 till 2 p.m., and come on over, and I'll give you a tour. Great. Thank you for giving me a moment to play,
Of course, Debbie. Thanks again. So we do have some scouts in the audience. If you want to just take a moment to introduce yourselves, tell us what troop you're in and maybe what school you go to. Are you here for the citizenship badge? Go ahead, stand up and just give us your name. And so Troop 547, 537, sorry. Well, thank you all very much for being here. All right, on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. This is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address City Council on items that do not appear on the agenda. All comments should be directed to City Council. I think I'll skip the portion about decorum in the chambers tonight since it's pretty quiet here this evening. There is a time limit, a 3-minute time limit. So as you come down here, when I call your name, you'll see a green light on for the first 2.5 minutes. When it turns yellow, you'll have 30 seconds left. And when it turns red, that indicates the 3 minutes is up, at which time we would ask you to wrap up your comments. We'll start by calling out the names who have indicated desire to speak by signing up on the roster, and then open it up to anyone else. Ashley Orlando, please. On behalf of the Ralston House. Flying the colors tonight.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ashley Orlando, and I'm the Development Officer for Ralston House. And if you haven't heard of us before, we are now the largest children's advocacy center in the state of Colorado, and this year we're on track to serve over 900 children. I'm here today to invite the City of Lakewood and its residents to join us at our annual 0.5K Endurance Challenge at the Colorado Mills Mall on Saturday, August 10th. You can challenge yourself, friends, family to run, trot, walk, or roll this 3.1 blocks to support children in our community who need it the most. It may only be a 0.5K, but it has a big point. And that point is to help Ralston House continue to provide professional, comprehensive services for sexually, physically, and emotionally abused children and their families in a safe place so that they can share their stories and begin to heal. This year, our 0.5K Endurance Challenge will take place at the street at Colorado Mills Mall. In addition to the race, we will have plenty of activities for kids to enjoy. We'll have face painting, balloon animals, arts and crafts, and a safety fair that's courtesy of the Lakewood Police Department and West Metro Fire Protection. We will have a live band performing, and the radio station 92.5 The Wolf will be there broadcasting live. On behalf of Ralston House, I would like to thank the City of Lakewood for its tremendous support of Ralston House this year and throughout the years. We absolutely could not carry out our mission without your support. We also know that Lakewood is made up of kind and generous citizens who care about the community that they live in. Unfortunately, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 10 boys will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday, and that's why we really need the community's support in rallying runners for this race. So if you'd like more information or if you want to register for the race, I invite you to go online. Our website is ralstonhouse.net, and you can just click on the 0.5K page and it'll take you to a registration form. So we hope to see you all at the street at Colorado Mills Mall, Saturday, August 10th. The registration begins at 8:30 and the race is at 10. And I've also left some brochures at the back in case anyone wants to sign up on their way out. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. I will see you there. Deanna Hanna, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. I'd like to bring an item to your attention, and it's an item on the Jeffco Commissioner's agenda for tomorrow. It's an issue that affects all of the citizens in Jefferson County, and that includes Lakewood citizens. And that issue is a proposal for a ballot language, and that will read, shall the membership of the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners be increased from 3 members to a 5-member board? And they're not deciding whether or not they should have a 3 or 5-member board. These commissioners, we're asking them to just consider this proposal so that the citizens of this county can discuss it and have meetings and then vote on it in November of 2014. And the reason it's such an important issue, let me just give you a few stats since I have a few minutes here. The county government was set up over 100 years ago when this was a rural area, and with the ability to increase the number of commissioners to 5 when the population exceeded 70,000. Currently, there are over 500,000 citizens in Jefferson County, 10% of Colorado's entire population, and almost the same size as the entire state of Wyoming. There are other counties that have, dealt with this issue because their population has grown and they need more representation. And El Paso, Arapahoe, Weld, Pitkin, and Adams have already moved to make this change. So it is a change that's been discussed for many years. The last time we voted was in 1994. At that time, the citizens said no. And who knows what they're going to say this time. But they at least should have an option of representative, transparent government to say yes or no. So we're just asking that they vote to put it on the ballot. And anybody who's listening and would be interested in contacting the commissioners, they can contact them with an email. They don't have to tell them yes or no. Just ask them to please put it on the ballot at commish, COMMISH, at jeffco.us. Or you can attend the meeting tomorrow. It's the 3rd item on the agenda. But anyway, if the 5 commissioners would be elected, it would each be elected by a district of 100,000 individuals instead of now like almost 200,000. So it's easier on the commissioners, and you get better representation for the citizens of this county. So let's hope that they're going to vote in favor. So, and we really appreciate any support you can to encourage them, because I know when I was elected in public office, I always appreciated the public's comment. It helped me make very good decisions. And another about good decision making, right now the 3 commissioners cannot talk to each other about very important issues unless they're on the podium discussing it in public, because of the Sunshine Law. 2 constitutes a majority, and you cannot talk to each other. Like you can talk to each other and discuss issues that you're not going to make a final decision, but you're going to talk about it. If you had 5, then allow the commissioners to talk to each other to make more reasonable and more, I think, decisions that would be best for everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Deanna. Marta Russell, please. The last name, right? Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome, yes. Maybe not. I've been reading in the Sentinel and the Hub about this glorious thing that we're doing at Teller and Alameda to cross the street. Now, I can tell when I drive up there that the people who made these ideas of how it would be set up do not drive it. Because presently, if you drive up there and you want to turn right, and there is anybody who wants to go straight, you may sit there through the whole lights with your exhaust going to turn right because there is not enough room. They need to rethink that a little bit so that they can let people turn right as well as go straight. I've gone up there sometimes and I want to turn right, but there have been too many cars that want to go straight, and you don't even necessarily get across when your light turns because of this. It's just a real problem, and right now it's just striping, so there's nothing that's cast in stone. But I think it needs to be looked at to allow us to turn right as well as go ahead straight.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate the input. All right, that's exhausts the list of those who have indicated a desire to speak by signing up on the public comment roster. Anyone else in chambers wish to comment on a non-agenda item? All right, with that, I will close public comment. Any questions or comments from council? Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. And this is the point, or the use of the consent agenda has been made to expedite council action. Tonight it just contains 2 resolutions. Resolutions are items of a routine nature, which members of the public will have an opportunity in a moment to comment on. Any council member may request an item on the consent agenda be removed for separate discussion and action under general business. And with that, will the clerk please read the items on the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda consists of item 6 and item 7 only. Item 6, Resolution 2013-39, a resolution initiating annexation proceedings for certain property to be known as the Taylor Annexation, located in the east one-half of Section 26, Township 4 South, Range 69 west of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado. And item 7, Resolution 2013-40, approving participation by the City of Lakewood in a coordinated election to be conducted by the Jefferson County Clerk and Recorder on November 5th, 2013.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on the consent agenda resolutions. Nobody's indicated a desire to speak by signing up on the public comment roster. All right. With that, I will close public comment, and I should mention that the consent agenda is voted on as a whole at the conclusion of the process here, with the exception of any item that might be removed for any reason by a council member to discuss under general business. So tonight we have an item that is item 6. We're going to amplify a little bit to give both council and the public a little bit more detail. And this has to do with really a milestone moment for the city of Lakewood, and that's the potential annexation of a beautiful piece of land on South Wadsworth known as the Taylor parcel. So I'm going to start. This is a process annexation that we haven't done a lot of recently, and for that reason I think it'll be instructive again for everybody up here as well as the public to understand how this process works and what the next steps are. And to introduce that topic, I'm going to turn to our city attorney, Tim Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Yes, annexations are a staple of municipal government, but it is not a topic that this city council has had to deal with very often over the years. And it has very specific steps and procedures required by state law. And we thought it was worthwhile to just, on a broad level, go over some of those major steps in the process, after which the planner on the case, Mr. Doring, will get you some information about where we are in the process with the case that's on the agenda tonight. So annexation, in simple terms, is the process by which municipalities incorporate territory, add territory to an existing municipality. In a nutshell, it can occur 3 ways. One is by petition of the owners of the property, owner or owners of the property. 2, with a lesser level of participation by the owners, there can be a petition for an annexation election that can happen. That's not the case here tonight. And third, if there are certain circumstances such as city-owned land, then the city can initiate annexation. This is in the first category. The landowner has filed an application for annexation into the city. The first step in the process is what you're dealing with tonight, determining that the property is eligible for annexation because it satisfies the criteria in the statute. Those criteria are a little bit unusual in their language, and so we thought it was worth just touching on them briefly. But we're confident that the criteria have been satisfied. The first is contiguity. To be annexed into a city, a parcel must be contiguous to, must abut an existing city boundary at least 1/6 of its boundary. That's the case here. The other criteria include a community of interest exists between the annexing municipality and the property, and the following two, which are that the territory to be annexed is urban or will be urbanized in the near future and is integrated or capable of being integrated. Again, sort of odd language, but those refer to the sort of that common interest, that ability of the city to provide the necessary services that it does to other properties within the city. And because of that, it has been established by state law that if the contiguity exists, if you have a finding that the contiguity exists at least 1/6, then those other criteria have been satisfied. It's presumed that you have the community of interest, you have the ability to be urbanized, you have the ability to be integrated if the contiguity exists. So they all sort of flow from that first criterion. There are some limitations on annexation that are considered at this point in the process. To my knowledge, none of those exist here. They include such things as if the annexation would involve detaching a property from an existing school district. That's a situation that has to be addressed in another forum. But if the council finds, as staff has reported, that the criteria have been satisfied and the petition is in compliance, then what you're doing tonight by adopting a resolution is setting the necessary hearing date for the annexation itself to be decided. There must be a public hearing at which all persons have the opportunity to speak. There's a time frame for that public hearing to happen, and staff has taken that into account in scheduling the proposed hearing. One other topic is the relationship to zoning, because this is also going to be a zoning process when you get to consider the annexation itself, assuming you pass the resolution tonight. Zoning, as you all know from prior cases, is a quasi-judicial process that has certain limitations on your ability to discuss the case, consider outside evidence, limits the ability to act if you have some personal interest in the matter, which is always the case. But if a bias exists or a prejudgment exists, we've talked about that situation many times. Technically, annexation is a legislative process that does not have those limitations. Zoning is a quasi-judicial process that is subject to those limitations. State law requires a property that's being annexed to be zoned within a period of time after the annexation. By custom in most jurisdictions, zoning is done simultaneously with annexation, and that's the case here. So when you have the public hearing, you will be deciding the annexation of the property and the proposed zoning of that property. Because they run together, it is virtually impossible to know where the legislative annexation ends and the quasi-judicial zoning begins. Therefore, when you get to that step in the process, we'll be talking about the quasi-judicial limitations and how that affects your conduct going forward. But for tonight, it's a resolution on the acceptance of the petition for annexation and the setting of the hearing for the annexation and zoning later on this year. Are there no questions?
Thanks. Any questions from council on the process? Okay. Mr. Dorian, if you would talk a little bit about where we are in that process.
Sure. So we are here tonight to accept the petition, which officially starts the shot clock under the state statutes that Tim mentioned. And basically, that petition says we are going to go to a public hearing, and we're going to make a decision no less than 30 days from now and no greater than 60 days. So we have scheduled a process for this to go to our Planning Commission, and it will go to our Planning Commission on August 7th. And notices already have been sent and in the mail, and I think people have received them. And then we will take this forward to City Council for a decision on September 9th, which would be 49 days after tonight's accepting of the petition. Prior to the application for the petition, the applicant had submitted a pre-planning for staff review, and we gave them comments, and that was last year, June of 2012. And then April 2nd of this year, we held a neighborhood meeting for purposes of the zoning, and that meeting was held here in Chambers, and about 80 citizens attended that meeting. So a good deal of interest, and I'm sure we'll have a good deal of interest when we get to the point where we have public hearings. So we have met the requirements for holding the neighborhood meetings for the zoning on the property, and we'll do that as well as the annexation on September 9th for City Council. But I do want to invite people to come out to the Planning Commission on August 7th.
Great, thank you. Anything else anybody want to add? Any questions from council?
Yep.
You know, I certainly am sensitive to the quasi-judicial issue, but I think it's stating the obvious that this is a jewel of a piece of property with a storied history. I mentioned English royalty when I opened up this meeting. I think we actually had English royalty stay at that property. So it really is, as I said, a potential real milestone for the city of Lakewood to have this beautiful, beautiful piece of property become part of our community, and together with our shared values discuss the future use for that property. So I want to thank a couple of gentlemen who are here tonight. Elliot Hoyt with Design Workshop, and you've been a consultant on the project. And of course, Alan Schwartz, who has been a legal advisor to the Taylor family, but certainly a real ally to us, to Alan Schwartz, I'm sorry. I hope I said that correctly the first time. You've been a real ally to us, Alan, and we appreciate your help very, very much. This is very important to us, so thank you. All right, with that, I'm ready for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor Murphy, I move for approval of the council minutes for acceptance of the minutes of boards and commissions. Order all ordinances introduced on first reading to be published in the Denver Post with public hearing set for the date included in the ordinance, and for adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, please cast your votes on the consent agenda. And it is approved 9-0. Thank you. And again, Elliot and Alan, thank you very much. We'll see you in a few weeks. All right, on to general business. Anything, Margie?
Nothing.
Executive report?
Yes, sir,
Watson?
I do have a report. So it's time to sign up for the Citizens Planning Academy. And if you don't know about this, you should, because it's a great opportunity and a great experience for citizens to get involved and understand what happens behind the scenes as it relates to land planning in the city. So the academy is made up of 6 3.5-hour evening sessions. They start in late August and continue through November. The class size is limited to about 25, and it's a great opportunity to get involved. So if you're interested in the 2013 Citizens Planning Academy, please submit an application to the Planning Department by Friday, August 9th, and you'll be notified soon after. So that's one announcement. And another kind of exciting announcement is, can you believe this? Fox Hollow Golf Course is celebrating 20 years, August 1st. 20 years. And for your amazement, we have hosted over 1.4 million rounds of golf at Fox Hollow. That's a lot of golf. And there's approximately 120,000 lost golf balls each year, 120,000, and about 200 clubs lost each year on the golf course. So, just so you know.
Any estimation on the number of cuss words that have been used in 1.4 million?
Depends on how many of those golf balls you lost, right?
Okay.
So congratulations to Fox Hollow.
That's great. Thank you. All right, on to reports. I wanted to briefly update everyone on the opportunity I had a week before last because of, I guess Kit Botkins, our Community Resources Director, has left, but because of Lakewood's participation, early participation in First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move Towns and Cities movement, I was invited to go to D.C. the week before last to kind of celebrate the first year anniversary of that. And Lakewood is one of, on one hand, only 330 cities nationwide that's participating in that program, so I'm very proud of us for doing that. On the other hand, those 330 cities represent over 60 million people. So there's a significant portion of the nation's population that's participating in this program. I learned a lot. The First Lady addressed us, and she kind of unveiled a report, which I won't bore you with the statistics, but it was fascinating to talk about the level of health and disease and life expectancy and health and fitness in the United States. In a moment, I'll talk briefly about Jefferson County. We are faring very well, I guess to no one's surprise here, given Colorado's level of fitness. But in terms of, and again, Let's Move is all about teaching kids at a young age the importance of nutrition and the importance of exercise and fitness. So there was a very thorough study done by a team at the University of Washington, talked about life expectancy, and as we live longer, it's understandable that we may acquire more disabling diseases as we live longer. But here's the one thing that kind of the takeaway that I got from this report was that the potentially avoidable risk factors contributed to rising disease burden in the United States. Number one on the list is dietary risk. Diets that are low in fruits, nuts, and seeds, high in sodium, were the most important risk factor for premature death and disability. Now that's one thing, but here's what it's ahead of. That not having a good diet is ahead of smoking. It's ahead of high body mass index, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, physical inactivity, and alcohol use. I just found that kind of a stunning scientific discovery that how important it is what you eat. So that's one of the reasons for the early emphasis on childhood nutrition. And the final part of my report has to do with Jefferson County. We're faring very, very well in terms of obesity. We're in the top. Let me rephrase that. The best 10% of counties in the United States for both men and women. The best 10%, and really pretty much the same in terms of fitness. So. As I said, no surprise that with our emphasis here in Colorado, we're taking pretty good care of ourselves here in Jefferson County. So congratulations, everyone for doing that, and keep it up. Diana.
No report.
Cindy.
No report.
Pete.
No report.
Good. Scott.
No report.
Adam. No. Sue.
I don't think I better share my foxhole story. I'll tell you later, Kathy.
No. Tom?
I just have a question for the city manager. 120,000 golf balls. Is it possible that the prairie dogs are like stockpiling them underground somewhere as part of some kind of a plot to take over some segment of the golf industry?
How do you answer that? I don't know, but have you ever seen me golf? That's a lot of balls.
It's just hard to imagine 120,000 golf balls just disappearing, but I'm not a golfer yet anyway, so yeah. Thank you.
I know in the movie Caddyshack it was golfers, not prairie dogs, but nevertheless it kind of brings some of those scenes to mind. Dave?
Question. I've received a number of complaints from constituents regarding the recent street resurfacing or whatever it entails. And there's been a lot of concerns as to whether the process is as high quality as we would like. Could somebody address what are we doing with the streets this year?
I can explain this. So this is a seal coat product that's been applied to the upper portion of the pavement, and it's less than half an inch is what's applied. The point is it's actually very cost effective, and it protects the pavement and it extends the lifespan of the pavement. So the concern, I think, is the appearance It's splotchy and not attractive, but what will happen is over time that'll fade. It'll take about 3 to 4 weeks, and that will fade, and it'll become more uniform in appearance. So we actually have an example, and thank you for letting me know this question was coming ahead of time. So actually, if you look at North Alameda and west of Garrison, that was recently, there was an application done there, and that was about a month ago, and that has become more uniform. So you can look there and see what this product will look like over time. And it is a cost-effective treatment. So this is a smart thing to do to help extend the life of the pavement.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
And I think it's worth mentioning that we pay a whole lot of attention to investing in our physical infrastructure in this community, and we take a number of steps, specifically talking about our streets. And there are varying stages. This is one phase. There's some more detailed phases in later years where we might do a full repaving, and then ultimately, in some cases, complete rebuilding. But to do it this way kind of delays the necessity for there's much more expensive investments later on. Margie, anything? Tim, anything? Kathy? No? All right. Thank you all. We're adjourned at